I'm Becca Fisher. Tonight we're going to be doing a show on writing inside juvenile hall. I have some wonderful people here who do different types of positive programming in youth facilities. They've been working in this field for a really long time, so I'm really happy to have them here. We're just going to go straight into introductions. This is Bill on my right, so just name and what you do and the mission of your program.
Okay, I'm Bill Burns. I'm an instructor for Project Read out of the Redwood City Library, and I work in the jail teaching a father's class where we teach guys to read children's books to their children. And I also teach a poetry class. We come up with an anthology that they write. They all write their own poems. And we also teach guys in jail to be tutors. We train them to be tutors so they can go teach other guys how to read so they can get their level up, so eventually pass the GED and maybe change their life around and get out. That's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm. And you've had experience before Project Read, right?
Oh yeah, I worked for years as administrator of juvenile court and community schools in San Mateo County. I started the community schools in 1982 and worked with a lot of at-risk kids that have nothing else going for them, except they finally get to juvenile hall, they get a school that makes them feel meaning, you know, some kind of meaning that can maybe change their life, give them a GED or a high school diploma, and maybe some job training. We even had some training programs going on inside the halls where they learn a skill. We had kids working on computers, copy machine technicians, and learning skills when they get out. They don't have to steal or rob to get money. They can actually do a trade or play a trade and make some money.
Okay. Lisa?
Great. I'm Lisa Pedersen, and I'm the Executive Director for the Art of Yoga program, the Art of Yoga project. And our program leads teen girls in the juvenile justice system towards accountability to themselves, their community, and to use our program to help them to give behavioral tools to affect behavioral change. And it's a wonderful program, and we've been 2 years now in San Mateo County, Camp Kemp.
That's awesome. And you're into yoga yourself, right?
I am. I'm a yoga instructor, and that's what led me to the Art of Yoga project.
That's awesome. Thank you. Okay, Josh?
My name is Joshua Mason, and I'm the outreach coordinator for Youth by Youth in East Palo Alto, where I live. And we do community court school classes. We do classes up at Camp Kemp also. We do various levels of informal aftercare with young people, predominantly coming back to the East Palo Alto, East Menlo Park area, which is the largest makeup of San Mateo County's juvenile hall population. And then aiding them to find resources. Where our focus is reducing violence in the streets, violence prevention, and giving information for young people to make healthier choices. And I also do Bible studies up there on Tuesday nights and do some outreach and aftercare with the Hillcrest Chaplaincy Program and reconnect with the young people when they come home.
Awesome. I really like the group that we have because we have working with boys, men, and girls, and also working with preventative programs with before youth, face being incarcerated, and also after they come out, supporting them when they come back. So it's a really good, a nice array of people we have over here. So how did you guys get involved with working inside juvenile halls? I mean, I know people say one of the main critiques of the juvenile program is just kind of out of sight, out of mind. Like no one really knows they're there. So like, how did you guys find your way inside working with the youth?
I always gravitated to those kind of kids because I was one myself. I almost didn't graduate from high school. Had 2 teachers went to bat for me, and they really fought to get me through that. And I thought, well, someday maybe I'll pay it back. And I thought I wanted to be a lawyer or a teacher, not really a teacher, but finally I said, maybe that's the way to go. So I joined a thing called the Teacher Corps, went back to Indiana in the 60s and came back and started in East Palo Alto. Actually, my first teaching was teaching kids that were school dropouts how to get the GED. Then we found out that the kids that were on probation would start the GED, then they would drop out and we'd never see them again. So they said, gee, can't we do something like a community school for kids on probation to help them more, to be in the community so they don't have to go all the way up to Redwood City from East Palo. So we had our first school was in Redwood City, then we had one in East Palo Alto, and then South City. And we brought the school to the kids where they could learn right in their community, and it wasn't a real long day, and we tailored it to them. And then from there, I just went on and became head of the court and community schools, trying to offer something to kids so they finally feel valuable. Our kids don't feel valuable anymore. They feel like they're throwaway society. Nobody cares about them. It wanted to make it real important for them. And that's how I got it. I started with juveniles, and now I'm working in the jail with adults. Some of them are the same guys I saw 15, 20 years ago, which is sad to say. They say, oh, you were my teacher. I said, well, wait a minute. I didn't teach you. If you're here, it's, well, we're going to make it the last time. We're not going to do it again. So that's part of it. And I really gravitate to these guys. I think there's a lot of talent out there. It's just misguided. We just need to put it together, find good use for it, like you're doing too, Joshua.
Yeah, I think that's really key, finding the talent that's already there and then and bringing it out. I think that's really important. So yeah, with your yoga program, I think that's amazing. I was saying before the show, kind of girls especially need the support of like the life skills training and just how to be successful in society, and then you kind of bring that to them through a different angle that's not like really straight on, like this is what you have to do, here's how to act, but it kind of gets in the side door, which I really think is cool. So if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so our program, actually, it's a curriculum. So we go into the school and we teach it as a, phys ed, art, and, writing, creative arts kind of component. And we have, 3 semesters, a fall, spring, and winter semester. And we go in and we start out and we teach them the fundamentals of yoga. And we teach them, things like non-stealing or no greed or contentment, honesty. These are the kind of like values that you start with the yamas and the niyamas, which are kind of the basic principles of life. And we take this into the schools and we work with the girls, and it's just a class where they come in, we sit in a very nice circle, everybody has a yoga mat. Every time we welcome the girls, and then we go through the philosophy of yoga, and then we do a yoga practice. And then we move into a creative expression, writing, or we make a mural, or we do, a bracelet where they can, pick a word that's meaningful to them. So it's wonderful, I think. And we have a great group of women within the organization that, they're kind of the elders, and then they bring, this role model and feeling of empowerment to the girls.
How long are the sessions that they go through?
It's 2 hours when we're doing the art project or the creative writing project, and then because we're there, almost every day, the next day we'll just like recap, and we'll do like a little bit shorter program where we focus a little bit more on the physical aspects of the yoga, and then a short reflective time to go in and kind of take and internalize what they've learned.
That's awesome. So how'd you get involved with doing the juvenile? You working with juveniles?
Well, I was in juvenile hall a lot as a young person. In fact, Kemp, Camp Kemp is named for the Winsfields, that was my judge when I was going to juvenile hall. And then went to various programs, drug programs, even though I really wasn't an addict or had a substance problem. That was sort of the only alternative for youth at the time, and I would say even still now. Up until very recently, most of the care in juvenile hall is centered around substance abuse and education, scholastic education, but not education on how to deal with your community, education on how to deal with your environment, education on how to deal with being young and facing these various risk factors and how to navigate those, how to maintain healthy relationships, et cetera, et cetera. So I wound up going on to prison as a teenager when I was 19, and spent well over 9 years, almost 10, in prison, and just really felt when I came home, it helps me sleep at night. I feel like I've been given something, and that is something to share. I don't think any of these kids are bad kids. I'm all in favor of the personal accountability. If you do wrong, there are consequences. But at the same time, let's teach our kids how to not do wrong. And really try to open their eyes to other options. So I've looked for ways since I've been home from prison to try to get involved in that. And there's been some volunteer things, some pay opportunity things, and it's sort of culminated over the last 3+ years into the opportunities that I have now.
It must have taken a lot of courage to go back in after being in for so long as like an educator and a mentor. Did that take a lot of courage, or was it just kind of like, this is what I'm supposed to do, this is what I.
It was humbling to be allowed to go in. I didn't expect that I would be allowed to. I was allowed to go in a little bit early, much earlier than other people would have anticipated that I would be. So I would say humbling defines it, but as far as courageous, I have something to offer, at least information. I can't change any of these kids. I don't think any program or anything changes a kid. A kid has to want to change, but it's our responsibility as adults to bring that information to them, so at least they can have the option of making a different choice whenever they so choose. So I didn't see any other real way.
Yeah. So we actually was lucky enough to be able to meet with some of the staff of The Beat Within, which is a publication of juvenile writing from the Bay Area, from inside Juvenile Hall, and I talked to them. They're really great people, and they're supposed to be able to be here, and they couldn't, so it's good that we have kind of their voices on the program as well. So it's a great example of different types of really positive stuff that's going on, and some of the stuff that you've all been talking about. So let's go to the roll-in, and then we'll come back and talk more about our programs.
As I was reading more and more in the newspapers, I was hearing about the decline of the public school system, the crack epidemic, gang problems were on the rise. And this is all happening in San Francisco or the Bay Area. And I didn't want to just sit around and talk about it. I didn't want to just hold on to my own opinions on this and feel like, you know, okay, that there's an ill in the community, I hope something gets done, and sort of leave it at that. I wanted to do something.
I gravitated immediately to this kind of population where I saw at least there's a possibility of making a change in people's thinking, attitudes, behavior that might deter them from this path that's going to end up in prison, the grave, death row.
Their thoughts, fears, pains really resonated with me and moved me to the point where I felt like I had to get their voices out, and they needed their own platform to share their stories. And that's where How the Beat Within was created. And at that first issue, we decided to be a weekly publication of writing and art from inside Juvenile Hall.
You look at what these people be writing, you see you see what, you know, their struggles or something like that, or what they've been through, maybe to get to where they're at in that certain point. So I thought it was a good, you know, way of like getting to know not only yourself, but getting to know the people around you.
It also helped me stay out of trouble too. You know what I mean? By reading what the experiences that they go through, it kind of reminds me of my past, and that keeps me out of it too.
I went in there in, I guess, January of 1996 for my first workshops. So we go in with paper, pencils, and topics in hand. And our set of topics are topics that all workshops will use for that week. The topics can range from current relevant issues like on the presidential election to topics that hit home about their anger and frustrations and loves and hates.
If they're not feeling the topics we bring them, we ask them to write about what they are feeling, because they're always feeling something. Even though you'll often get, I'm not feeling anything, I have nothing on my mind, and to which I'll say, well, what kind of flowers do you like? Because you must be dead.
I mean, you see the pride that a young person takes when they're published. I mean, not many people could say they've been published, and here we are, kids 15 years old growing up in the systems and published 20, 30 times. It's like, oh my gosh.
After every piece, in each piece in the magazine, there's always a response to the piece. So it's from the beat at the bottom. And that's us telling us what we think of whatever they wrote.
There are many pieces that they ask for advices. They put it in the last line. Be within, what do you think about this? You know what I mean? And that's when we like it so much.
First of all, just to see that they're published is good. Then to see that someone's taken the time to respond, even when they're angry at what you've said, they still appreciate the fact that you've said something. They know you've read them. You see all these kids who want to come here afterwards. partly because they feel safe.
If they go home and they really want to stay connected to the beat, there's an opportunity to work here.
5 years ago, he was in my workshop, and I have such a clear memory of his raising his hand saying, "You think there'd be a place for me at the beat?"
My name is Omar, and I'm a project manager here at the beat, youth coordinator, supervisor, editor.
1999 was the last time I was in juvenile hall, and I was there 17 times, not including weekend. I did this program I was supposed to do 9 months.
The way I interact with the people around here is like I've known them for a long time already. It's like we established a relationship over here, like with a lot of people and stuff, and it's always been like nobody's judged anybody.
There's a certain safety, both physical safety and a kind of non-judgmental safety in being here.
That's one thing that the beat has, I think, real credibility in, is the fact that every time, obviously we go into juvenile halls and stuff, and nobody, they don't look at everybody different just because you're in jail or you've been in jail.
A lot of these kids unfortunately grow up with the beat being revolving door in and out of the system, and they realize that through the beat they could be teachers, and they know that the audience is not just their unit. It's actually a way that they can communicate with their peers in their institution or in institutions throughout the country, and someone's going to be listening to them.
I think that writing, first of all, frees people in many ways who didn't know they could be free in that sense. Even locked in a room, you can be free here.
It's like talking to God. It's like once you writing it down, it kind of release, like it kind of helps you.
They carry a lot of baggage, these young people, and I think, as we all know, when you write your thoughts down on paper, you get a lot of pain off that chest of yours.
And those are deep pieces, like, you know what I'm saying, like, they just let it all out, like one, and it's like, man, it's like makes you think twice before you do anything, you know what I'm saying? Makes us appreciate things a little bit more too.
They're teachers, and as teachers that they can tell and save others from falling into the traps by telling their story. And that's what I want. If anything, when I go into the workshops, I want these young people to realize that they're teachers.
Okay, so that was a little bit of information about a program called The Beat Within, and just another amazing program that's going around in the area. They talked a lot about some of the really positive successes they've had, like people coming back and wanting to work for them and going back into the facilities. Like you said, you've done too, is trying to give back what they had when they were inside. So what are some of the positive successes you've seen from your programs, specifically with you? I know you do the Fathers program. What have you seen come out of that?
Well, one of the main things is to break the cycles of illiteracy and recidivism. Mm-hmm. And most of the guys I work with in jail were never read to as kids, never had children's books read to them. So we teach them to read children's books, read it to their kids, and it's never too early, okay? So one of the things, the guy had a contact visit with his 6-month-old child, and he said, I read her a story. I got to hold her. She sat there the whole time, just looked up at me, and I read her this whole story. The other one is around Christmas time. We always send the books and tapes home. At the end of the program, we get a book sent home with a tape of Daddy reading the story, so they can hear it at night, just an audio cassette. And the kids run, you think they like the book, they grab the cassette, go, Daddy, Daddy's here, and they run in, plug it in, and they get to listen to their dad's voice. And he'll say something, hey, boo-boo, this is for you. And they haven't made that contact too often. But those are a couple of great things. And guys saying, gee, my kid really liked the book, he really liked the tape, and get that feedback. That's the most important thing. And that, Project Read does that. Besides teaching the guys to be tutors in jail, having this experience and getting a book into the home is really important. So that's a good one for me. I'm sure you guys have the same kind of stuff.
Yeah, go ahead if you want to share something.
Yeah, well, we actually focus on like 3 key areas. Self-awareness, self-control, and self-respect. So self-awareness kind of starts with, being aware of who you are and what's inside. And then self-respect, respecting yourself and respecting others and your environment. And then self-control, really being able to direct your energy into a way that's positive. And just like some of the results, for example, under self-control, 100% of the girls reported using the breathing techniques that they used in that they learn in meditation to help when they're angry. And 100% reported that they respect themselves more and have more positive thoughts about themselves. So I think that you can just see that, you know, it's just a little seed that you plant and you give it some water and it has the opportunity to grow and really change the lives of these young girls.
That's awesome. Josh, do you want to?
For me, it comes in a couple ways. One, it's a success that these young people can get this information, that there's things like the chaplaincy program, like the community court school, like that stuff. But when I ride around town, I stop at the Chevron station, and here comes a kid, hey, bro, you remember me? And, you know, sometimes you can't recognize every face. And yet we'll start a conversation. I saw you that one Sunday you were up there at church. And, okay, well, how are you doing it? You get a mixed bag of answers. Sometimes they're doing good, sometimes they're doing not, but they're the ones that take the initiative to make the contact. And then there's those who, when they come home, they do call. Just this afternoon, I was at a young man who's on probation, on house arrest, and actually wrote and contributed to the Beat Within while he was locked up. And went over to his house, and I go over there, and he cooks lunch. I went over there for breakfast a couple days after he came home, and you know, give him a ride to job train. So to watch him walk out the process of being a man and make some healthy decisions for himself and refrain from things, to be able to see that transformation is beautiful. It is, and it really is on a person-by-person basis, you know.
Yeah, these programs are really great. And I know you two were talking about how San Mateo has a really, really great, the county itself has just a lot of resources for these programs, and your community schools program sounds amazing too. But I know, I mean, you know, juvenile halls around the country are just, I mean, they're really oppressive places to be. And so what are some of the other changes that we really need to see with, you know, with youth that are incarcerated? Like what are some changes that we need to see?
Well, one thing is just make it meaningful. I mean, we warehouse kids. We take them, we put them in a place, they're there for 6 months, a year, 18 months, and they vegetate. They may learn how to be a better criminal sometimes from some of the other guys. We need to have, you know, valuable programs, you know, like yoga, like your counseling, coming in, talking to the kids, like poetry, like reading, where they could come in there and really do stuff and make it meaningful. That's the most important.
I think to focus on rehabilitation is really important because if you don't give these kids tools to affect change, how would they know how to do it? So I think, you know, that's what we find is that, you know, just the small things and, you know, a focus on one area or other really helps them to feel better about themselves. And once you feel better about yourself, then you can start to change. You want to change. Nobody wants to be unhappy or miserable.
And I think the system did a really good job, again, in bringing forth all the addiction issues, you know, and making all sorts of NA and AA, and those are wonderful programs. And I'm sure that they've helped, you know, tons of people. Our kids now are addicted to a lifestyle. They are addicted to a subculture that is the dominant culture oftentimes in the environment that they come from. Our kids are wounded. So I think along with what you guys were saying, to address those wounds, to address the reality of the world that they're going back to and give them some practical tools to be able to transform their thinking. And again, practical things, you know, things that they can actually do that help them deal with the realities of their world, which is not necessarily the reality of the world of all of the service providers or maybe of the world of everybody else in juvenile hall, is to, you know, again, personal accountability is important, but be empathetic to the environment that they have. And I think that transcends past juvenile hall to our public schools, certainly, and you know, community-based organizations and nonprofits, faith-based organizations, and most of all, parents and family members.
So this is a program about writing, and I think it's really important to share the writing from inside, because it's, as I said before, it's out of sight, out of mind. If we don't hear the voices, then, you know, they get lost. So I know some of you brought some writing, and we only have a couple more minutes. So we'll start with Bill, and we'll just kind of end the show with some reading of poetry.
Okay, well, we have a program called Poetry and Literacy. And what we do is they create an anthology. Everybody writes in the class. I write, everybody that comes in writes a poem during the day. We study a certain type of poem and then we write it. We put together an anthology. Everybody gets a copy of this anthology. And I'm going to read one poem. We give them a picture and they would write a poem. We had a picture of an eagle. And this guy wrote a poem. And I'll just read it. His name is Chris. In flight through bright blue sky, it skims the silent air with ease, feather light as a summer's breeze. Unfettered, it glares down on fields of wheat and clumps of trees, ready to tuck its wings and then swoop down, talons ready for any careless creature scurrying along his ground. Then suddenly the eagle falls. The talons grab, the victim calls. The eagle's shrill cries of delight echo off the canyon walls. Soaring swiftly out of sight, he'll share his catch at home tonight. That's by Chris.
That's wonderful.
Nice effort.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Okay, so let's go to, actually let's have Lisa read a quick poem.
Yeah. So ours was a similar. This young girl picked a picture of a bird in flight, and she writes, "I am free, in flight my spirit soars, seeing far, reaching new heights, I become more of who I really am."
That's beautiful. There's so much imagery of like being free, and so okay. So we only have a little bit left, so we're gonna end with Josh's poem. I just want to thank you so much for coming, and I hope it was a nice experience, and thank you for sharing all your work. So take it away, Josh.
Thank you. I revised this poem about a year before I came home from prison. I was in the Pelican Bay SHU program, still very much involved with my activities in air gangs and whatnot. And as I started to determine what do I want my life to be looking like when I come home from prison, that thought process led to a spiritual transformation within me. And so this poem was the result of that. And it's called I Am. I am seen as many things, some good, some bad, yet the bad that I've done is not all that I am. It is in these areas which need more attention, learning through the word to find life's comprehension. Everyone is searching for identification, but life has one purpose, regardless the next man's explanation. I am disliked by some, still I take a stand. I trust and believe in the Almighty's plan. I am the product of a spirit instilled in me. It is from this foundation that I strive to achieve. I am a man, yet a child still growing. The fight against temptation is a struggle ongoing. Every day a new challenge, I will continue to grow. By Christ's love, I am disciplined, mind, body, and soul. Motivated by dedication to the Savior of mine. I am respect, always drawing the line. Eternal life is my destiny. Fellowship is essential. I am for unity, strength, and potential. The seed which was planted has taken root. Grounded in love, I bear much fruit. I stay true to the substance inside of me, watchful to not end up like a cursed fig tree. I am growing, I am showing there is much still to learn. All that I've been given, I give in return. If you think I'm boasting about me, you misunderstand. I boast only in the Lord, for he makes me who I am. I have faith in his grace, friend, and you will see who I am is just a reflection of we.
Very good.
Thank you. That was really beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. It's been a really great time, and thank you for all the work that you do, and thanks for watching.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Hey, great.
Good job.
Thanks a lot.
Good job.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for